Hello, and welcome to today's Career Chat. I am Shannon Crooks, a Librarian 3 at the Hillcrest Heights branch of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. On today's show, we have Alison Miller. She's a Ballet Academy director and owner, and she's going to tell us about her career. We hope today's Career Chat inspires you. I know that adults and teens are listening to today's show, and you may have thought about various careers, but you may not actually know about what's all involved. So we hope this show gives you more information and background to various careers. Each and every week we premiere this show on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. So we hope that you will continue to join us. Let me tell you a little bit about Alison, today's guest. Alison holds a BA degree in dance from Goucher College and a master's in performing arts from American University. She has completed the International Ballet Teachers Workshop in Mississippi and Paris, the Ballet Academy in Colorado, the Royal Academy of Dance Professional Development course, primary through grade 5, and several Vagnova training workshops as part of her ongoing training. In 2014, she attended a 2-day intensive dance physiotherapy workshop for dance teachers and health professionals addressing, preventing, and managing dance injuries. In 2016, Ms. Miller attended the Finnish Jung Teachers Workshop in New York City, and in 2019 attended the 4-day seminar Cuban National Ballet Intermediate Years Seminar presented by Maestra Ramona de Sa, director of the Cuban National Ballet School in Townsend, Maryland. In addition to owning and directing the Ballet Academy, Ms. Miller is actively involved in the dance community. She has taught and performed in the Washington, Baltimore area for over 30 years. She has choreographed for theater productions at Prince George's County Community College and University of Maryland and the Chamber Theater. She has lectured at the Cosmos Club on dance history, served as the dance representative to the Maryland Alliance for Arts Education, and on the committee to form the Maryland State Comprehensive Education Plan. She has also served as treasurer, secretary, and festival chair and president of the Maryland Council for Dance, and as Maryland MCD Festival Showcase Chair, Additionally, Ms. Miller served as Helen Hayes Nominator in 2002. And then in 2007, she was honored as a National Honor Roll Outstanding American Teacher. And in 2009, the Maryland Council for Dance honored her for the 2009 Outstanding Service and Contributions to Dance in Maryland. Ms. Miller has been the artistic director of the Performing Arts Repertory Company since 2003. So, wow, you have had an illustrious career, Alison. We'd love to learn more about it. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a ballerina is, but what they may not know is what a ballet academy director does. So tell us, Alison, what are your job responsibilities and duties?
Like any other school, it's the curriculum planning, it is the scheduling, and it is also guiding and managing the teachers. We're a small school, so we only have a handful of teachers, but very, very good teachers. And we meet at least once a year as a group to go over what we're teaching. And it's also evaluating just through observation of the growth and the development of the students. So it's bringing together the educational components to enhance the program. We are not a pre-professional program. We are more of a catch-all program. We do have dancers who go on professionally, so we would guide them to where they are going to go when they get to a point there. But we have many, many students who returning dancers or who dance their whole life through high school, college, really with great ability, but they want to do other things in their life and they want this to be a part of it. So in addition to just the school part of it, we have performing groups. The performing groups go out to nursing homes, libraries, school programs, community days to perform and to bring art into the community and to give our dancers a chance to perform. And so it's a matter of organizing the logistics of those programs, costuming, staging, lighting when we do stage productions, just kind of the catch-all for running the whole school and making sure that everything falls into place.
Wow, that's exciting. And I'm pretty sure it's exciting for the dancers to get to perform at different places and get some experience performing in front of an audience.
Definitely, it is a wonderful part of what we do, especially when we go into nursing homes, because we also teach the young children. We pair them up with somebody who's older to go over and speak with some of the people there and thank them for coming. So we get a chance to connect with different age groups and communities who really do welcome and are great audiences. So we benefit greatly from that and hope that we bring something to those communities as well.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they enjoy having you come out to perform.
They are
So,
a warm audience.
yes, they are. So, Allison, how long have you been working in this industry?
Well, I, I actually came in the back door. I went to college as a pre-med biology major and
Wow.
was working at NIH. And my second year of college took dance ballet as an elective
Hmm.
and fell in love with it and started doing it private lessons and going as much as I could and working my school and work schedule around that.
Hmm.
And then decided at the last minute that I would audition for a dance program. And if I got in, I would do that. So I was about 18 when I started taking class.
Hmm.
And then um, by the time I was 23, I opened the Ballet Academy. I had taught for a number of teachers in the area and had my degree, my BA degree, and had done a number of performance. And I had an opportunity to have a job with the CETA program up in Baltimore, but chose to go to move back to the College Park area at the time and open up ballet school. So I had also done a lot of teaching as part of my program in college in lower Indian Head, Accokeek area with special needs groups, working with dance and movement. So
Hmm.
that was part of the draw to come back to this area. Even
Hmm.
though I would have done some of that in Baltimore, it was a little too structured for me to be able to have the freedom to create my own program. So 23, it's 39 years
Wow.
or of actually running the school and having my own program and then reaching out in other areas. I've been lucky enough to have opportunities along the way.
Wow. You said you started off as a pre-med major and then switched to ballet. What made you make the switch?
You know, I love the sciences. I loved it through high school. I found it really exciting and interesting and very, in a way, easy in that you always knew the answer if you studied, if you put in the time.
Hmm.
It was very logical and practical and mathematical, and that was very comforting in a lot of ways. But when I got my job at NIH, which I was very grateful, it was a wonderful opportunity. I worked with wonderful doctors in
Hmm.
different fields. I mean, it was in the 70s, so eons ago for these young people who would be listening to this. It was just the beginning. We were just beginning to actually look at DNA, and that part was really exciting. But I was an assistant lab technician, and I was constantly sitting behind a microscope or doing bioassays or working with different tests, and I couldn't see myself doing that day in and day out in an indoor environment. It was really exciting when I go to the archives and look up information,
Hmm.
and as a opportunity to dance and take class, it was a huge challenge to me. It wasn't straightforward. I had to connect my body to my brain to get control, to have the physical strength maybe the endorphins clicked in. I don't know. It just gave me a different kind of love and passion
Hmm.
and something really that struck me that I was leaving my lab to go to class and coming back at 10 o'clock at night to feed my cells in the
Hmm.
laboratory. And I'm like, I got to decide what I want to do. So after 3 years of science, and actually the educational part has been useful for everything that we do anyway. I
Hmm.
decided that I would audition, and if I got into a program, I'd go. And if
Hmm.
not, I wouldn't even tell my parents. Just,
Wow.
change the path.
Yeah, interesting. So viewers, you may be working or on a degree or be, working in a job where you're not quite passionate about it or excited about it, and you may have a hobby or you may have another course you're taking that you are excited about. Don't be afraid to explore something different, something that you are motivated and encouraged to be a part of, because you never know, it could turn into a career like Alison did. She was doing science and she said, "No, I just don't think that I'm that into it. But dance, I'm passionate about it. I love it. I want to pursue it further." And I find it interesting, Alison, that you started dancing at 18. A lot of people start dancing when they're little kids, toddlers, and then they grow up dancing. So tell me how when you got to college, how you knew, hey, I want to try dancing out. What inspired you?
I really didn't. I mean, when I got into the dance program, I actually went in as a dance therapy undergraduate because it was science based. And I felt that that gave me, I mean, we had technique class, we had to take ballet and modern. And I had been taking maybe 12 hours a week of ballet at a private studio as much as I could, staying all day for children's classes and adult classes,
Hmm.
um, pushing into different levels and stuff to get my body and brain in tune. I did not know what I would really do with it. I just felt that I had wanted to feed my passion, and
Hmm.
was very, I've always been very directed to the goal, and getting my degree was really important.
Hmm.
It's interesting because I took anatomy for a pre-med major for, biology through the science. And when I got to Goucher, they required that I take it again for the dancer,
Wow.
which was a way that was really, really, I'm like, I've had this, but it was really a key component to how I would teach later on. I made up a bone song. All of my kids, from the time they're 3, they learn their bones. We talk about muscle groups. We talk about physics and how the body works.
Hmm.
So there's a foundation. And for me, there is a comfort in knowing that there is structure and form to
Hmm.
build a foundation so you can prevent injuries, which is why I have always pursued the courses with dance physiotherapists and PT work and stuff like that to bring into my program that
Hmm.
I teach my students. But I think that I just knew at one point when I was working with children, when I was working with adults, when I was actually bringing it together, that this was really something that I hope to achieve to some success because I really got a lot of joy and pleasure out of it.
That's awesome. An amazing story, because a lot of times people are doing things, in addition to their job or in addition to their education, and they love it, but they never really go for it, as far as a career is concerned. So I'm glad that you went towards what you are passionate about.
Well, I can say I go to my job every day and I am thrilled to go to my job. And I'm especially glad that now we are back in the studio a little bit with students because the hybrid model is great. Zoom has been a wonderful thing, and that's been a whole new learning curve in itself on how to teach, engage, and really interact with people that way.
Hmm.
But there's nothing like actually having real social contact. So I'm glad to be able to have both and to expand and to learn. So I learn so much from my students every day in how to do things, and from my parents and from the community. We have a wonderful community that really supports what we do. So
Hmm.
it's not a one man show at all. It really is the community that makes the whole program thrive.
Wow. So you talked a little bit about doing classes on Zoom. So how has COVID changed the face of your industry and your business? Because it's really taking a toll on the world right now.
Yes. And I think it's actually, there are so much positive things that have come out of it in the dance world, not so much for the performance side. And I know that that's awful for Broadway dancers, ballet dancers, hip hop dancers, competition dancers who really thrive in being in that environment.
Hmm.
For me, I was very, very lucky. Again, we have such a strong community. And one of my parents said, "Oh, you should try this." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, can I handle the technology? I have to be able to do the exercises, plan the exercises, handle the music, look at a screen, talk to the students, make sure that they're engaged, give
Mhm.
them something else.
Mhm.
So it has actually provided a platform to bring in some of the things I love. With my younger children's classes, I prepared PowerPoints, 5 to 8 minutes, to talk about dance history, which I always talk about when they get to be 11 or 12. But we started this with introducing a little bit, and with so much out there on the internet that the library, provides, and
Mhm.
literature and YouTube, that it's very easy to put together it takes a long time to put together something cohesive, but the information is there. So I
Mm.
could teach them, this is how this technique works. This is a little about dance history. These are the bones of the feet, and this is what I'm talking about when we learn the names. So 5 or 10 minutes at the end to have them come back after actually having the physical class, to bring
Mhm.
some of us together and have them interact and talk to each other and have discussion, is something I don't have a lot of time to do in class, to turn around and set up a projector, because we're
Mhm.
always trying to push them, but we can't have a full class because they have a very small space.
I
So there's
see.
certain things we can't do, so we can enrich in other ways. And that has been a plus, to be able to have that opportunity. And then over the months, so I started online March 15th,
Mhm.
and I had a bunch of parents who would say, oh, this, try Zoom, try this, try that.
Mhm.
People who have offered to help a little bit with the technology part when I've had problems. And my sister's in IT, and she would come up from Virginia and sit in my classes and monitor the first few weeks. So
Mhm.
I had that huge community to support me to get that tech part going. I
Mhm.
think the teachers in school had a little bit of problem with that, and they even had a tech department.
Mhm.
But I had individual help, so it was very useful. And in the long run, what it has enabled me to do is be a little more precise, to teach the students. We're working on foundation. There are things we can't work on as
Mhm.
well, but there are more that you can work on. You can work on your artistry, you can work on your basic technique, you can work on your extension, you can work on your flexibility, and incorporate a class that enhances what we can work on in a very positive environment. And
Mhm.
with Zoom, because it's interactive, I can talk to the kids and I can give general comments, or I can have one student show something then when they do it really well, so that they
Mhm.
know they're being watched and that they're a part of the program. And I think that that's part of it. 5 years ago, we wouldn't have had that opportunity. So it's a bad thing that has happened, but we
Mhm.
can keep them safe and still engage and also realize some of them may not be totally engaged in the class, because Zoom is so hard for adults and for kids to
Mhm.
actually follow through, because there's a lot of independence and it can get boring, that we have to be able to switch it up real
Mhm.
fast. And
Mhm.
just like you do in a classroom, you got a lesson plan, but sometimes you have to divert and go someplace else and bring everybody back. So it's a challenge, but it's just as much a challenge for my students as it is on my end. And
Mhm.
welcoming feedback has helped the kids. The kids help me, oh, we need to do this more, or this is going to be more fun for them. And if they're going to have more fun, they're going to work harder.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so viewers, it's very important, especially now in these times, to learn technology. Right now, probably a lot of people are doing interviews on Zoom or another, using another software that uses video. So right now would be a good time for you to start practicing. I know Zoom allows you to open a free account where you can go in a Zoom room, schedule a meeting, see how things work in the room. It's a good way for you to learn and also be prepared in case we are using Zoom or other platforms such as Zoom throughout the rest of this year and maybe beyond. We're not really sure what's going to happen with everything that COVID
No, but
has.
we'll be flexible, right?
Yes, being
We'll just
flexible.
go with it.
Yes, go with the flow. And then as Allison said, if you have trouble or, run into trouble spots, you can always reach out to someone who's more familiar with technology and they will probably gladly support you in learning. So Allison,
Believe me, the kids have done fabulously well. They helped me a lot.
yes,
One of
they
them even gave me kudos for being old enough to be able to work this out. So I'm very grateful.
yeah, young people are very into technology. They were born with it pretty much. So yes, excellent. So how did you well, let's see. How did you face different obstacles that came along with your career? Can you tell us about some things, some challenges that you had?
Yes. So I would think trying to feel adequate with people who started very young and had a whole, you know, treasure chest of teachers and tools to feel like I could really be at that level and to offer something because you train a lot to be where you are. And having really great teachers, I think, made a huge difference with them acknowledging that just because you're a performer, you're not a teacher. And
Mm-hmm.
just because you're a teacher, you may not be a performer. And you have to be able to have the experience of doing both if you want to teach.
Mm-hmm.
Performers don't have to be able to teach, but many of them will transition into that, or many choose to transition into that. But to always be able to get the information that you need to really grow within what you're doing. That's one thing. And of course, there's always the body part that you need to keep, number one, in shape.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to, in terms of not, and to not make it be about your size, because the dance world is very big on that, but on your health and your functionability, and
Mm-hmm.
to be able to understand that it is a slow process, to not overdo things because you want to get to a goal, but to take that slow, methodical, precious foundation of your body, embrace what you have, and work within your own unit. And
Mm-hmm.
then to learn so much from others. Musically is a really big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from others in terms of looking at the other people that are in your class and knowing that you don't have to be like them, but you can learn from them. Everybody's going to have a talent. Everybody's going to have strengths. Everybody's going to have weaknesses that they need to work on, and recognize that within yourself. And I think that carries over to, as a teacher, how are you going to bring that to your students and let them embrace what they actually are fabulous at, and balance that with what I think is the hardest part for all of us, how to work on the things we're not so great at and feel good about our own accomplishment. Because we're get very used to test grades and scores and making this audition or making this. And that's really not what it's about. It's your own journey. Where did
Mm-hmm.
you start? Where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
And although my journey has been a long journey, I've had so many opportunities, whether it's been to get to theater as a young child. That made a huge difference in growing up. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't necessarily do gifts at holidays, but my parents took us to see a show. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a family experience. And we have taken that to our children because that changed my life. It
Mm-hmm.
made me cry. It made me laugh. It brought me joy. It gave me hope, inspired me, taught me so much. So I always take my students to when we can go to a performance. Now we can't, but we always do a group field trip and have the students go, educate them about that. There's just so much of it that I brought from my life in growing up. And basically, we did not dance because we didn't have money. We
Mm-hmm.
were not, we just didn't have any grant. We didn't do without anything. We were not, it's not like that, but extra money, big family,
Mm-hmm.
you went camping and that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
we try to, at the Ballet Academy, offer every child an opportunity, and it's not based on their affordability, whether they can afford to come. Because I think that that's what precludes a lot of students, that it's a part of their life and we'll work with them on that. And so that all of those things come together, and those obstacles, back to what you were asking about, with the economy going up and down, that's always very, very difficult. And part of that is why we started the Performing Arts Repertory Company,
Mm-hmm.
because it was able to be an umbrella organization to help us be able to do these huge performances,
Mm-hmm.
so that the board is all volunteer. We get a lot of donations, and but we can also give scholarships to students who don't have the ability, or we can use an umbrella to carry them through so that they have these opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And with I've lived through several of the recessions
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
over the years, which we know that that's the way it is. And any type of school or any type of organization that relies on people paying when they don't have the money, that's always a problem. And so we have a big space that we have to rent. We have a really important sprung floor, which is very expensive. So having the right environment to actually have the bodies grow and the dancers learn and a really positive environment means you at least got to have those basic things. And I've been really lucky about that because I can work another job and cover some of that. And I have a lot of support within the community,
Mm-hmm.
but we want to bring in as many dancers, as many students of dance, and give them those opportunities. And that's always a bit of a challenge, reaching out and we've gone to schools. We used to go to the schools and actually bring a program where my repertory performing dancers would go out and actually once a month teach.
Oh,
But now
okay.
they can't take off time from school because of testing. They stopped doing that a number of years ago. We used to do programs where we would invite the schools to come in, and we would have, like, when Pullen first opened the art school, we were at
Mm-hmm.
Prince George Community College, and we would fill a 1,200 seat theater so we could have daytime performances.
Mm-hmm.
That has been a challenge because we can't do that anymore. Students don't do field trips. Students don't can't. The students could come to the field trip, but my students couldn't leave school
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do it. It's not as sanctioned. And for high school kids, it's changed. They
Mm-hmm.
can't sanction that as a day off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a bit of an obstacle, but we've done it other ways by reaching out and doing after school stuff or switching to nursing homes and the library programs.
That's awesome. And I like the fact that you said that your parents were focused more on giving you experiences versus gifts. I think that's so important. Right now, with kids growing up so fast and, being exposed to so much, technology, sometimes they just need to be exposed to different performing arts events or different areas of the United States or different areas of the world. They need a chance to see what's out there so that they can form their opinion about what they want to be in life, so that they can be inspired, so that they can be motivated. So parents, if you're watching along with your kids right now, I encourage you to think about when the holidays come around, birthdays, Christmas, Hanukkah, various holidays throughout the year. Think of ways to celebrate your child with different experiences. Ask them, are you interested in maybe going to see a certain type of play? Or are you interested in going to see a certain type of dance performance or hear a certain type of concert with music? Inspire them, take them to art museums, take them to the library to see different books and research different topics that they may be interested in. Just give them a well-rounded life where they can see what's out there. And you don't have to have a lot of money. We're fortunate to be in this area, in that you can go to several places that have performances for free or at a very low cost. So if you need help finding those, a lot of the libraries have a section when you first walk in of brochures of different things that are going on in the community. So feel free to stop in once we open back. We're not back open yet, but once we open back up, come in and we will gladly help direct you to some of those free events. I think that's so important. Um,
And our museums are free for the most part in DC as well, which we're very lucky to have. So I think that there are just opportunities, but you're right. There are so many opportunities here.
mhm,
And I think that even the sculpture garden at Hirshhorn, where you can just, you're outside if you don't want to go outside. And
mhm,
with my children, I used to say, okay, pick one thing you want to see in the museum. And I'd say, we're going to go see that and we're going to leave. And they
mhm.
didn't want to leave. But I said, oh no, we're just going to see this but it was free. So you didn't have to worry. So we'd stop at other rooms and see things along the way just because we passed them.
Mhm,
And I think how you approach it sometimes makes a difference too. If it's got to be a whole long day,
mhm,
they get tired of it. But if it's a short visit, and we're lucky we can do several of those a
mhm,
year, if not more,
mhm.
free. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, people spend so much money to come to Washington, D.C., and we have it here in our backyard, and sometimes we forget to take advantage of it. So I think we really just need to start saying to ourselves, okay, maybe I don't have a lot of money, but, let me see what's out there. Let me do some research and try to see if there's something engaging that I can do with my family for a low cost. And then the library, when we were open, we were doing programs face to face. So we were trying to bring a lot of performers to the library, but now that we are virtual, we're trying to bring them online. So hopefully when we open back up, we can get back to some of that because it's important for the kids to be exposed to different experiences.
I
Um,
think it's important for us adults too. And the
yes.
library has always been my go-to. I mean, my thing is when I don't have whenever I have extra time is to read. I mean, even as a child. And I think that's a lot of the inspiration for the ballets that we do,
Hmm.
for even the short pieces that we do. Through the Performing Arts Repertory Company, we did a reading the arts program. We got a grant to do that. And we actually did it at the Beltsville Library
Okay.
where we took apart, how steps of ballet are like words to phrases to sentences to paragraphs to stories. And we
Hmm.
always bring in many of the literature books, whether it be Sleeping Beauty, because within the Sleeping Beauty ballet, there's Little Red Riding Hood, there's Puss in Boots, there's
Hmm.
a lot of the other stories that come in with it. And so we always bring in that literature component because to me, that's the great escape is to go
Hmm.
ahead and put your head in a book and go somewhere, even if you can't really go somewhere.
Hmm. And I think it's fascinating that a lot of ballets, a lot of major ballets are based on fairy tales or literature. And so if the kids read those books and then they go see a performance, they can kind of put two and two together and see what they were reading. So I think that's very unique that they can have.
One of the story ballets that we did was Persephone,
Hmm.
and which is a Greek myth for the kids who don't know, but it was one of my 14-year-old boys who said this would make a really great ballet. What do you think? We
Hmm.
went from the children's illustrated book because of course it's a little more concise. In ballet we don't have words,
Hmm.
and put together a story,
Hmm.
a sort of a concise story to be able to show through the ballet. So
Hmm.
even though that's a pretty complex story, you can come out with a pretty good rendition that is not using words. And I think it was pretty clear, especially with some of the stage effects. When it's winter it snows, and when it's spring the flowers grow. So
Hmm.
a lot of the stories that they've read throughout with their imaginations, they've also pushed me to be a little more imaginative and creative in what we do. And so I think that you're right, bringing that literature into the art world. I mean, you look at paintings, they're based on literature often, or music, or it's just that's the nice thing about ballet. It brings in the literature, it brings in the paintings because of the visual part of it, it brings in the movement part, and it also brings in the music. So you're sort of fulfilling all of your senses at once.
Hmm. That's awesome. I really like that it does that. And when you go see a ballet, it just everything comes to life, all the different colors, the way the stage is set up, the lighting, it's the music. You just feel like you're in the story. So I can only imagine how the kids feel when they read something and then they come back and they create dance to go along with it. So wonderful. Um, so, if students are interested in finding some type of volunteer opportunity related to ballet, what do you think they can look into?
So there are a number of different opportunities. Uh,
Hmm.
if you are connected to a dance school per se,
Hmm.
very often we do a aid program. A lot of times they volunteer. We
Hmm.
teach them a little bit about what they can and can't do to be a part of the classroom, especially with the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, in terms of gently guiding them, helping them if they need it. So we often have a young student aide in the class.
Hmm.
And then as they get a little bit older, a lot of the students might be interested in teaching. And so we work with them to have those teaching experiences. So that would be in the classroom itself. We also have I have many students who volunteer to help me pull costumes, work backstage, help with makeup, help with bringing with production, because we do such a major production and we have young kids. We assign somebody who's going to help them get to the stage and get back off, make sure they're dressed, make sure that their makeup's in line, make sure that everything is precise before they go on, help them to practice, because I'm one person, and even with a handful of adults who may be backstage doing a lot of different things, though we probably use 15 to 20 young volunteers. They don't even have to be dancers. Many of them are not, but they're
Mhm.
really good with children. And sometimes they're entertaining them, reading a story to them, quietly having them occupied until it's their turn, so that they know their cue and they can get everything together, know the lineup, how to get them on and off. So they have that comfort factor. So it's that we also take them to a lot of our productions that are just our outreach productions, and they might help change the costumes, because a lot of times when we go to outreach, dancers may be in 3 or 4 numbers, and
Mhm.
so they need to do a costume change. And
Mm.
so with that, we provide all the costumes. Our dancers don't buy their costumes. We have a huge costume closet.
Mhm.
Probably 85% of it is homemade costumes that we've had for over 30 years that we've
Wow.
used and
Mhm.
accessorized, so that there's no cost to the dancers to actually buy a costume.
Mhm.
And when we plan our event, I know what costumes I have, I know what headpieces I have, I know what props we need.
Mhm.
So we pull that. And so very often we will need more. And I have some of the young dancers, 12 and 13, who like to sew, and we might have headpieces that need to be sewed to we often use felt, because we can put bobby pins in it to pin in their hair securely without it pulling on their hair. They may do
Mhm.
some of the sewing part. They may sew the shoes. They may help to do the makeup. So with all of our productions, there's a preparation to
Mhm.
getting 150 costumes lined up, counted, numbers, fitted and sized
Mhm.
into the cars, into the either the performing space. And then of course there's that whole thing, we have to unpack everything, wash everything. So once I wash everything and bring it back, I have a group of young dancers who volunteer to help restock everything.
Mhm.
So just when within production, it used to be, we don't have to do this too much now, but we used to actually do our own lights, put our own gels in, and we would teach the dancers how lighting works. And
Mhm.
now with the laws, we're not, students who are not, you know, certified or of age can't actually do that, and they don't use as much gels to make the lights different colors. They use more of the LED stuff on
Mhm.
some of them, but we would actually go hang lights, and sometimes they're standing on stage, so
Mhm.
we focus lights. So there's a lot of different things. Sometimes they're giving out programs, sometimes they work concessions, sometimes they come to the outdoor areas, like when we do District 1 day, or we would do Portstown Day, a performance, or Beltsville Day. The dancers would help to give out a little bit of information if they had information on the production or whatever. So they're very, very useful. And if they want to be involved, they can do a little bit once a year. They could do a lot 4 times a year. They could come be a part of a class every week and
Mhm.
just be a helpful hand. And they're always given a little more to do the more they hang out. Kind of employ them to figure out what else if they're interested.
Yeah, so um, young people, I know some of you may not be interested in dance, but you may be interested in the production side of things. So Allison just gave several great examples of what you could do to help out by volunteering to do things involved in production, such as helping with the costumes, helping with stage design and setup, helping with the dancers, making sure they're where they need to be. So there's opportunities for you if you are interested. Makeup, so if you're not interested in the dance side, you might be interested in production. And so that could get you a start in this. And then also just stage production in general. Plays often need people to help out with that. If they're doing a play production, performance, music performing arts, they often need people to help out backstage. So there's so many opportunities and outlets within helping out if you choose to volunteer. Um, Next question is, what do you think the skills young people should think about when they're trying to acquire skills that would work in any field, regardless of what it is? What type of professional work skills should they be developing?
Always organize your time,
Mm-hmm.
manage your time well.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that many of the kids in dance, because they might be coming to dance an hour and a half to 2 hours, 3 or 4 times a week, they have to know they have to come home and get their homework done
Mm-hmm.
so they can get their dancing in, make sure they eat well, and then they may have a little bit of homework left afterwards, but they have to plan that management of time. That's a really big skill. The
Mm-hmm.
discipline, even when you're tired and you don't want to do something, as long as you're healthy, that you've
Mhm.
made that commitment. So the discipline and the commitment that goes into what you're doing makes a huge difference. And engaging yourself. When you
Mhm.
are there, you need to be present. You need to give your best. It may not be the best day for you, but you leave, you have to be able to compartmentalize. This didn't work well in school today, but I'm here now and I
Mhm.
am going to be my best because I
Mhm.
think those are the skills we bring to our everyday.
Mhm.
And most important, we make mistakes. It's
Mhm.
not that we made the mistake, it's how we cover it
Mhm.
because what we do next.
Mhm.
So, how do you handle it if you went the wrong way on stage?
Mhm.
Well, you put a smile on your face and you pick up where you should go.
Yep.
You do your best and you do your best and then you do a little bit more. And then
Mhm.
you're always kind to the people around you
Mhm.
because you don't know what's going on with them.
Mhm.
Everybody has bad moments. Nobody is ever remembered for the greatest thing they did as
Mhm.
well as they're remembered how nicely or kindly they or considerately they treated somebody else.
Mhm.
So, and then the last thing I would say is to be prepared. You prepare by bringing everything you need. You make sure that you do your check. And that goes back to the organization. You need your ballet shoes, you need your waistband, you need your water bottle, you need your notebook, you may need your point shoes, you may need a change of leotard if you're going to be there a long time. You need to make sure that you have your food, that you've gotten your sleep the best you can. You prepare yourself to be your best because
Mhm.
you never know what's going to happen. And if you have that preparation, you can go with it. You can just
Mhm.
make whatever it is work. And
Mhm.
that's what most of us adults do on a daily basis is make
Yeah.
whatever we have work.
hmm Yeah, being organized is a huge one. I think that can eliminate a lot of stress with any job is making sure you have what you need, making sure you plan your time and making sure that, you are ready to go with whatever task you have at hand. And then another thing you said is being kind. I think that is so important because we're working around several different people, and so we are working on projects sometimes together. Sometimes the way we work or what we do impacts the people around us. So we need to be kind and understanding of what people may be going through outside of work. And so a lot of people bring whatever they got going on to work. And so, I encourage you to try to compartmentalize things. So if you got things going on at home or at school, but you are showing up to work, try to leave those things behind and be prepared and ready to go because people do need you to put your best foot forward because they're dependent on you.
I think
Uh,
there's one other thing, and that is sometimes we like to procrastinate. And a lot of times when you procrastinate, you lose opportunities to do something you really want to do.
mhm,
So, and that goes back to time management. But sometimes it's the idea that we have something we have to do that is keeping us from doing it. If we just started it, it wouldn't be quite as bad. And if we
mhm,
don't leave it to the last minute, if something comes up at the last minute, you have the freedom to make a choice to
mhm,
do something else. Now, I know some people feel they work better under procrastination. They come to the deadline, they think that they're more productive, and that's fine. I totally respect that.
mhm,
I don't. I'm a little bit over the edge with organizing, reorganizing, going through stuff. But I
mhm,
also found that many of the opportunities I had, whether it be to be a Helen Hayes nominator or to take on a job working with a theater group downtown to do their choreography,
mhm,
or to, just go to a performance that somebody has a free ticket. Because I got what I needed done, I had that freedom to be able to do that, or at least make a choice if I want to. And
mhm.
that has been very helpful for me.
hmm I agree with that. So, students, teenagers, if you're watching, you can start now with any assignments you have at school. Don't wait till the last minute to get started. Go ahead and get started. Even if it's you feel like it's a pain or you don't know what you need to know to get it done, just start. Because a lot of times once you start, you realize that once you get into your groove and get going, you get through it fast and then you're free to do other things, as Allison has said. Um, Very important life skill. So, Allison, can you compare and contrast different jobs you've had in your career?
Um, Well, I still work a couple of different jobs now. I
Mm-hmm.
think compare and contrast within the same industry, within the dance.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what
Mm-hmm.
you want?
Yes.
I have jobs that are outside. So I would say probably teaching is probably very structured and very um, constant
Mm-hmm.
in your preparation and how you plan for that. So when you're teaching, you do your lesson plan, you check your curriculum, you make sure that you're going through that on a
Mm-hmm.
very sterile level. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're in the classroom, it becomes very dynamic
Mm-hmm.
because you have individual personalities and you want to make sure that you're engaging those individual personalities and you're giving the best that you can. So your
Mm-hmm.
preparation for that is pretty structured in terms of what I mean sterile, and that you know you have to really put in that time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
You also know that you prepare more than you need to have
Mm-hmm.
in case you have to go on a different path,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to be responsive. And of course so that's one thing. When you're in production,
Mm-hmm.
production for me starts 6 months before we ever get into production.
Wow.
I start having meetings with people who are doing lighting. I have a wonderful person who um, also we have over the last maybe 15, 16 years, rather than buying backdrops or renting backdrops, we have used slides. And I always have this idea that we can make it more dimensional, give it more of a depth through what we're doing through the artistry part.
Mm-hmm.
Saves us a lot of money and we can make quick changes because a lot of the theaters don't have fly galleries, so you can't pull a backdrop up and switch it. So
Mm-hmm.
that has changed quite a bit. So we have meetings where we talk about the story, how we're going to make, because we always do a story ballet in the spring, as
Mm-hmm.
well as class dances and our concert dancers that we bring.
Mm-hmm.
And so planning for that story ballet means we have to have staging, setting, props. The storyline has to be really concise and very thrill and really clear in what we're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
then I have to actually cast it. And the casting is really hard because we have a meeting once we get started in September. So we start in the summer for our May show.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided what we're going to do. This past year, it didn't come to fruition, but we
Mm-hmm.
were working on Don Quixote, which had 26 dancers in the core piece, which is a 10-minute piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our story ballet, which is 18 different dances itself that comes together with the story. And then we have drama classes for these kids. So we have to coordinate the drama, the backstage, the lighting, the music, the casting, the dancers, the costumes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in production for that. And then we meet, and then I make sure all of those details are smoothed out with each of those people so that they each take on their task. And then getting all those costumes ready, pulling the costumes, fitting them, making sure that we have them all,
Mm-hmm.
making sure I have the choreography because I don't use the same choreography from year to year because I'm not using the same dancers. Now, if we're doing a set piece like Don Quixote, it's
Mm-hmm.
quite set in that that is what the established ballet world has given us as steps. But you can look at 5 different versions
Mm-hmm.
that have been done by master dancers, and we alternate what we're going to do, or I pick and choose what's going to work best for my group. So the
Mm-hmm.
production side is a little more elaborate, much more creative. Not
Mm-hmm.
that the lesson plans are not creative, but it's very clear on what level a child should be working.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be creative in how you present it, but you at least have that structure.
Okay.
A lot of times I have to cut and change the music
Mm-hmm.
because it's not going to work for the dance group that I have, or I've decided after we did this 5 years ago and maybe that's not working as well for me. I have a different idea.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a whole different point of view. And then, of course, we do summer camps, and summer camps are very different because in our summer camps, I have to hire a number of different teachers that we have a great group, and they always have ballet every day.
Mm-hmm.
Those that are on point do point. They have flexibility and conditioning, but they have hip hop, they have contemporary, they have tap. And then on that Friday, after 1 week, we are going to do a performance, and they have learned the choreography for 3 to 5 dances that each group is going to present. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like the whole structure is then back to our production again on a Friday afternoon, every Friday that we do camp. So
Mhm.
it brings that all together. And no matter what I'm doing, I get a little nervous each time. Am I going to get this right? Are we going to have, we're going to meet the needs of the groups and that kind of thing. And it
Oh,
was different this year too, because although we did some in-studio camps, they were limited in the number of people of
mhm,
dancers we could bring in, very small. And we didn't do costumes or bring any of this stuff out that we would normally have that would enhance it for them.
mhm,
And then, of course, we did a half-day camp. And
mhm,
of course, I wanted to do everything. So I'm trying to put a 6 hour camp in a 3 hour day. And the
mhm.
kids are like wearing masks. And so I had to kind of revamp. Okay, I'm getting a little over the edge here
Okay.
and listen to the students. So those are the different types of things throughout the year that we do.
Wow. So what I gather from your discussion about the compare and contrast is that it's a lot of preparation with it and planning, being organized and making sure that you adapt and are flexible to the different changes that could happen. So Allison, I know you have done some work overseas in Paris and some other places throughout the United States. What were those experiences like, and how did you get those opportunities? Because some people may want to do some type of education in another country, but they don't know how to get the opportunity.
Good question. So there is the ballet, what is we consider the Ballet Olympics, and it goes around every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
In 1986, it was in Mississippi, and I really wanted to go, so I signed up to go. I was at that not as a performer, but as a teacher to do the teachers workshop. It was 2 weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
every day of working with the Russian system
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher, and then you could take the classes that the actual competitors took. And I actually did a little coaching there because one of the coaches got stranded, and somebody had come and asked me if I would coach one of the dancers. So I just happened to be there when they asked me to do that, and I was in class with somebody
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher as well as in the technique class, and they asked me to help.
Mm-hmm.
You just make friends in the dance world because it's a small world, and a lot of them are come together for things like this. It's
Mm-hmm.
same with the workshops. Whether when I was in London, I took classes there, and you meet a lot of different people. I was actually there for a I was there for I was in actually London. Well, I was in Paris for a competition, and
Mm-hmm.
I had been working on my master's thesis. And I don't know how it happened, but the woman sitting next to me happened
Mm-hmm.
to be the wife of a gentleman who was the dance writer for the Dancing Times, who had studied with the gentleman. She had studied with the gentleman that I was doing my master's thesis on,
Mm-hmm.
and I had written to her to get to do an interview with her.
Oh, okay.
And I was in Paris with a competition. Again, I signed up to go with a team that I had read about through Dance Magazine, that I really wanted to do this. And so I sent my information to see if they would accept me to go with the team.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, I was just sitting next to this woman looking at the audition, the competition itself, and making notes. And since I guess I was writing in English and she was British,
Mm-hmm.
she started talking to me. And it turned out she was the person that I had sent a letter to 6 months before about doing an interview. And she hadn't answered me because she was like, she was an elderly woman. Her
Mm-hmm.
husband had been ill. As I said, he was the writer for the Dancing Times magazine. And
Mm-hmm.
she was only there because he was sick. He had had some heart issues, and he was in the hotel room, and she was getting notes for him.
Mm-hmm.
So we just happened to meet, and then I happened to get the interview with her because she noticed that my scoring was similar to hers.
Mm-hmm.
It was just serendipitous
Mm-hmm.
and being in the right place at the right time, as well as just luck.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really reading and knowing what's going on. There's a lot of different opportunities to know what's going on. Point Magazine, I don't know if Dance Magazine, nothing is in print anymore. It's all online, but you probably can get it right at the library.
Mm-hmm.
Always knowing what's going on, always trying to be informed, going to different events that might teachers workshops, or reading what other people are learning, and learning from other people, because nobody knows everything. And I
Mm-hmm.
think when you do that and you talk to people, you
Mm-hmm.
find out there are opportunities out there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you make it work. And sometimes they're costly, going someplace, going to Paris. with the team, you have to pay for the flight and the hotel and whatnot, and you get to go to all these performances, and you take all these teachers' workshops, and you have to weigh that whether it's worth it. But I think those experiences are just pretty amazing.
Mhm.
When I went to Vail, Colorado for the Bolshoi workshop, that was really a great opportunity. And it was in 1990 during the Russian coup. And the
Mhm.
dancers actually got stranded because they couldn't go back
Mhm.
they couldn't get back into Russia at the time because of glasnost. I don't know if any of these kids know about perestroika, but
Mhm.
anyway, that we were all stranded there. And so we had a lot of time to talk. And then you make these connections.
Mhm.
So I think just by being open to listening to what other people say and hearing what they're saying and
Mhm.
knowing that you can always learn from anybody and everybody and better
Mhm.
yourself by getting that information and
Mhm.
being open-minded makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so viewers, what Allison has just described to us is a networking opportunity. So we've talked about networking on each and every episode, and I can't stress it enough. When you meet people, have conversations, see if you have similar interests, or maybe they have an opportunity they can share with you. And Allison has also talked to us about different publications and magazines that you can look into and see what opportunities are out there. Stay on top of whatever craft you want to go into. Do a lot of research and reading. It's so important to understand and learn about your craft so that you can engage more in it. It'll be more meaningful, and you may also find opportunities in doing so. So, Allison, we're coming almost to the end of our interview. And my next question is, do you enjoy what you do? I've heard you say several times, through the experiences that you enjoy it, but, anything else you would like to add to that?
I love what I do. I am very grateful to have the opportunity to do something that I really, really love.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how rewarding it is to be a part of a child's life, even in a small way, or an adult. Well, I have many adults who started either as adults or came back as adults or teens, to at least, be a part of that and know that hopefully you're giving them something positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they give me so much positive. I
Mm-hmm.
I learn more about ballet all the time
Mm-hmm.
through listening and reading and being a part of it, but also through the dancers themselves and the community that is so involved is just, and it's not just the Ballet Academy community, but the communities we reach out to when we go out to our outreach
Mm-hmm.
and what people do for other people. So I'm very, very, very lucky. I do love it. I love teaching. I try every day to get better at it. And that is a little scary sometimes that, I'm not doing my best. So
Mm-hmm.
I hope that, I get that feedback. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Wow.
a pleasure.
Yes, you made a great point by saying you learn from others. Even though they're young people that you are guiding and teaching, they're teaching you as well. So it's important to know that we can learn from several different people. It could be, if you're a teenager, your teachers, it could be a mentor, it could be a librarian. Maybe you come to the library and talk to your librarian. It could be someone in your community that you're involved with or activity that you're engaged in. So constantly always be learning from each other, networking, trying to find new opportunities, and just trying to discover something that maybe you hadn't discovered before to better yourself. So, Allison, the last question is for me, which is, what are the resources the library offers people who are new to the job market? Maybe you're changing careers or looking for new work due to the COVID-19 emergency. You can visit us at our website at pgcmls.info. Go to our online library, and then from there, you can click on the jobs and careers section. There's three main areas that you can visit related to careers: Brain Fuse, Career Transitions, and the Learning Express Library. There are several different things you can do once you click on one of those sections. You can work on preparation tests or practice exams for college entrance. Maybe you're trying to get citizenship. There's some tools there for you as well. If you're in school and maybe you need a little bit more help with your educational skills, there's math, reading, and writing. there for you. And then if you are trying to upgrade your resume, maybe you're trying to write a cover letter, that is there as well. And we have a live job coach that can help you if you have any questions related to careers. Again, thank you, Alison, for joining us today. I learned so much about your career. I applaud you for all of your accomplishments, and I hope you continue to do great things. I know our viewers learned a lot today, and viewers, we hope you will join us each and every Wednesday at 3 p.m., where we explore a new career on Career Chat. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Crooks, Librarian 3 with the Prince George's County Library System. Have a wonderful day and continue to stay safe. We'll see you next time. Bye
Thank you
bye.
for the opportunity
Yes,
to
thank you.
speak with you.
Yes.